Good morning. Okay, so today we're going to start reading Julius Caesar together, and I thought I would go ahead and set up videos so that as I'm listening to it from Folger's Shakespeare, the Folger's Shakespeare website, where they are freely giving us access to Julius Caesar, to the audio file, I'm going to listen to that and read it, and I'm going to pause the video occasionally to make some comments and to maybe add some input as we're going through, because Shakespeare is difficult at times. So what I would like you to do, I would like you to go ahead and turn in your textbook to page 822. That's where Caesar starts. And I would like you to go ahead and get out those study questions for Act 1, Scene 1. Just have those open. You don't have to complete them as we're reading it, but it would be great just to maybe be able to look at them right away whenever we're done, okay? Okay, so first thing I want to point out on the page, I'm going to kind of shift over to where I can show in my book. Okay, so right here, it gives us a list of characters, so make sure you go ahead and look at those characters. And also, I wanted to point out that on the little sidebar of each page, it actually shows us, it gives us some different vocabulary words. It explains strange sayings that we might not understand. Shakespeare uses a lot of words and phrases that are not typical. It's actually one of the reasons that people think Shakespeare is really difficult. So I would highly recommend, as we're reading, to go ahead and look at those sidebar comments and see if they clarify things. It's also okay to stop the video for a second, read a couple of things, and then keep playing it, okay? So feel free to do that. You have the power, okay? Okay, so one thing you may remember from watching the background videos last week is that Caesar, the real Caesar, so Shakespeare's writing about a real historical figure, as he did with many of his history plays, okay? So Julius Caesar is a history play. And with Caesar, part of the interesting thing is he's a really great military leader. And so whenever he comes back into Rome, he's coming in, he's gaining power, he's being made the dictator for life. The Roman citizens are all really big fans, especially common people. So we're not talking nobility, we're not talking people who are like in power in politics. The regular everyday people, they love Caesar. That's kind of a big deal. The politicians, the diplomats, they're not as interested in Caesar, and they certainly don't want to go back to a monarchy. So we have this interesting idea between, do you have a government that's ruled by a group of people versus a government that's ruled by a monarch? Putting Caesar into absolute power makes him a monarch, right? And that's a system of government that a lot of countries have gone away from. Now, one reason as Shakespeare's writing this, he's writing this in 1599, which is Queen Elizabeth I's reign is nearing an end. She dies in the next few years. I don't remember exactly when. But in England, they're probably a little bit concerned because before Elizabeth came into power, before like her dad, Henry VIII, was in power, for about 100 years or so, England was at war within itself. The War of the Roses was a very famous war where there were different families that were kind of vying for power. And so you had all of these people who were in politics who were all trying to get their person into a position of power. And so really the person in charge who gets to make the decisions for a country, that's a big deal. And so Shakespeare, as he's writing this, is kind of looking at England and what's coming up next. After Elizabeth, she doesn't have any kids. And so what's going to happen to his country? And so probably that's part of his motivation as he writes this. He has all these politicians who are kind of playing at trying to figure out the game, right? And so that's where he's at, his purpose in writing it. Okay, so really it's an interesting play. If you like politics, if you like the idea of how do we choose people in power, this is a really interesting play, okay? If you like romance more, well, last year was the right one with Romeo and Juliet, so oopsie, we can't like everything, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start Act 1, Scene 1. We're going to start reading together on page 822. I'm going to try not to stop it very much and just kind of let it play out, and then I may make some comments here and there, okay? And I'm going to turn my volume all the way up so you can hear it. Sweet tunes.
From Simon & Schuster Audio, Folger Theater at Folger Shakespeare Library presents Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare.
Real actors are going to be reading this for us. It's pretty cool. British accents and all. We didn't even start yet. Oopsie. Okay, so in scene 1, you have just normal everyday people. Caesar is coming into the city, and everybody's out on the street like regular citizens, shop owners. They're just out on the street like milling around like it's a celebration day, like it's a parade. And you have these two politicians that come through and are like, why are you guys out here? So that's kind of what's happening, okay?
Creatures, get you home. Is this a holiday? What? Know you not? Being mechanical, you ought not walk upon a laboring day without the sign of your profession. Speak, what trade art thou?
Why, sir, a carpenter. Where is thy leather apron and thy rule? What dost thou with thy best apparel on? You, sir, what trade are you?
Truly, sir, in respect of a fine workman, I am but, as you would say, a cobbler.
But what trade art thou? Answer me directly.
A trade, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad soles. What trade, thou knave? Thou naughty knave, what trade? Nay, I beseech you, sir, be not out with me yet. If you be out, sir, I can mend you.
What mean'st thou by that? Mend me, thou saucy fellow?
Why, sir, cobble you. Thou art a cobbler, art thou? Truly, sir, all that I live by is with the all. I meddle with no tradesmen's matters, nor women's matters. But withal I am indeed, sir, a surgeon to old shoes. When they are in great danger, I recover them. As proper men as ever trod upon neat's leather have gone upon my handiwork. But wherefore art not in thy shop today? Why dost thou lead these men about the streets? Truly, sir, to wear out their shoes, to get myself into more work. But indeed, sir, we make holiday to see Caesar, and to rejoice in his triumph.
Therefore rejoice! What conquest brings he home? What tributaries follow him to Rome to grace in captive bonds his chariot wheels? You blocks, you stones, you worse than senseless things! Oh, you hard hearts, you cruel men of Rome, knew you not Pompey? Many a time and oft have you climbed up to walls and battlements, to towers and windows, yea, to chimney tops, your infants in your arms, and there have sat the livelong day with patient expectation to see great Pompey pass the streets of Rome. And when you saw his chariot but appear, have you not made an universal shout that Tiber trembled underneath her banks to hear the replication of your sounds made in her concave shores? And do you now put on your best attire? And do you now cull out a holiday? And do you now strew flowers in his way that comes in triumph over Pompey's blood? Be gone! Run to your houses. Fall upon your knees. Pray to the gods to intermit the plague that needs must light on this ingratitude.
Go, good countrymen.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Okay, so a few things. So whenever we begin reading this scene, so you have Flavius and Marillus, and they are diplomats. They're politicians, okay? They're people who work in the government. And then you have all these common people, and they want to know right away, where are your signs of your profession? Where's your trade displayed? Where are your clothes that kind of show who you are and what you do? These people are walking around, they're in their best clothes. Normally a tradesman, if you're a cobbler, if you're a carpenter, you're going to be wearing the clothing that you would to do your trade. So these people are not ready to work today. They're wandering around like it's a holiday. And these two politicians are like, what are you doing? okay? And they're asking them very specifically, like, why are you in your best clothes? What's your job? You know, the one guy, he's mocking them whenever he says, I'm a mender of bad souls. Now, Shakespeare loves puns. He loves, anytime he can use a word that has a double, triple, quadruple meaning, man, he is all over that. So mender of bad souls, of course, he's talking about the soles of your shoe, but mender of bad souls, you know, we can think of like, you know, your soul, your heart, that type of thing. And so, of course, he's implying that as well. And then these two politicians aren't really getting, I mean, the common people are kind of mocking them a little bit, like, why don't you guys know what's going on? You're supposed to be like all educated and know stuff. And here you are, you don't even know the cool thing that's happening. Caesar is coming into town. The regular people, the poor people in Rome, are in celebration mode. They're ready to just have a great celebration in the street because this conquering hero is coming back. Now, Marcellus calls them names. He says, you blocks, you stones, you worse than senseless things, you idiots. What are you doing celebrating Caesar? You're the same people who were celebrating Pompey like, you know, a few weeks back. How stupid are you to celebrate one leader and then, you know, just a little bit later on, you celebrate the other guy? It would be like in our culture, somebody who maybe, you know, celebrates Trump now and they celebrated Obama back in the day. So that's kind of what he's saying. He's calling them like, kind of like double-minded, like they're celebrating somebody who is now victorious where somebody else had been victorious previously, okay? And so he's criticizing their, the fact that they're just basically ready to celebrate whomever. And they're excited that Caesar is making these great strides for Rome. He's you know, this great military leader. Okay, so he tells them they need to go back inside. They're being idiots. They're being ridiculous. Let's keep going. We have Flavius now who's telling them to go inside.
For this fault, assemble all the poor men of your sort. Draw them to Tiber banks and weep your tears into the channel, till the lowest stream do kiss the most exalted shores of all.
Okay, all the people exit.
See, where their basest metal be not moved. They vanish tongue-tied in their guiltiness. Go you down that way towards the capital. This way will I. Disrobe the images if you do find them decked with ceremonies.
May we do so? You know it is the feast of Lupercal.
It is no matter. Let no images be hung with Caesar's trophies. I'll about and drive away the vulgar from the streets. So do you too, where you perceive them thick. These growing feathers, plucked from Caesar's wing, will make him fly an ordinary pitch. Who else would soar above the view of men and keep us all in servile fearfulness?
Okay, so Marcellus and Flavius have told all the common people to go home. You have no business being out here. You're being idiots to celebrate Caesar. He's not done anything great. Just go home. That's silly. Go back to your jobs. And then they decide they're going to take down some celebration, some things that kind of show the celebration. So in ancient Rome, what they would do whenever there was a celebration is they would put decorations on the statues. If you can think of Rome, there are a lot of statues. And so they would put decorations on the statues, maybe like the little, you know, something, maybe a wreath around the neck of the statue, like a bust, a statue. And so they're going to go through, and any of like the statues that have celebratory decorations on them, they're going to take the decorations off, which is kind of disrespectful, right? Because Caesar's coming back home to Rome in pomp and circumstance and celebration of his great victories, and these two politicians, they hold public office, and they've taken it upon themselves to remove all the decorations for the celebration. Can you imagine somebody going through like our town whenever there's like a holiday and we put the flags up? We have those flags like lining Main Street in Nashville. Can you imagine if somebody went through and was like, nope, not doing it, not today. We're not celebrating that. That would be kind of a big deal, right? So that's what's happening now. So they're going to take those decorations down. Okay, so it's Act 1, Scene 1, it's done, and I believe you have 4 questions to answer about it, okay? Okay, see ya.